Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and submit extraneous materials.
Without objection.
I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the Dean of California's Republican delegation, it's my honor and privilege to come to the floor of the People's House to recognize someone from the Golden State who has made a historic impact on this institution. Kevin McCarthy is not from one of California's world-famous cities. He hails from the blue-collar city of Bakersfield. Kevin is not the son of politicians or corporate titans. He is the son of a firefighter. His story is an American story. He is the grandson of an Italian immigrant. From staffer to speaker, he's devoted the better part of his life to the House of Representatives. In politics, nothing is handed to you. That certainly holds true in this town and in this building. Kevin's success is the result of hard work and determination. Kevin is a fighter. Time and time again, he fought for his constituents, his state, his conference, and his country. The first sign of Kevin's go-get-'em attitude was when, at the age of 19, he started his own small business selling sandwiches. While attending college at Cal State Bakersfield, Kevin got interested in politics, took a job working for our former colleague, former chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Bill Thomas. For the next 15 years, he worked as a congressional aide and ultimately served as a district director for Congressman Thomas. In 2000, Kevin stepped forward as a candidate for the first time and was elected the Kern Community College District trustee. Just a couple of years later, in 2002, he was elected to the California State Assembly. After just one term in the Assembly, he was chosen to serve as the minority leader. Following the retirement of Mr. Thomas, Kevin was elected in 2006 to follow in the footsteps of his former boss here in the House. As a freshman, Kevin was appointed to serve on the Republican Steering Committee. From those early days in the House to today, Kevin has been a strong and effective advocate on a number of important issues. Water is the lifeline for the Central Valley in California. In California, we have a saying, whiskey is for drinking and water is for fighting. But Kevin approached the issue of water with his characteristic optimism that brought anyone together who wanted to find real solutions. California has a proud history of being at the forefront of aeronautics and space exploration, including the region Kevin has represented. He has been a champion for recognizing that past and investing in the future. Our state is a leader in innovation, and Kevin has always been a vocal promoter of industries that will shape our economy and America's competitive edge in the years ahead. Here in the House, we have seen Kevin answer the call to lead time and time again. As Chief Deputy Whip, Majority Whip, Majority Leader, Minority Leader, then ultimately Speaker. Kevin has consistently led the charge for our conference and conservative priorities. During some difficult times, Kevin was always the calm in the storm, level-headed and positive. Republicans would not be in the majority here today without Kevin's tireless work and leadership. To say he will be missed is an understatement. Our loss is his wife Judy's gain. I wish his family, including his son Connor, his daughter Megan, the very best as we head into the holidays and the next chapter of his life. As I mentioned earlier, Kevin is from Bakersfield. However, he's probably the second most famous person to hail from Bakersfield. Country music legend Merle Haggard has had him beat for that top spot. A few years back, Kevin actually introduced and passed a bill the renaming the Bakersfield Post Office in honor of Merle Haggard. As we join here today to celebrate another son of Bakersfield whose journey in the House is coming to an end, it seems fitting that Merle had a song titled, "If We Make It Through December." That song Merle sings, "If we make it through December, got plans to be in a warmer town come summertime, maybe even California. If we make it through December, we'll be fine." Kevin, I have no doubt that warmer days are await. We're grateful for your service, your friendship, and your leadership. You'll continue to make your mark, and I look forward to the many great things to come. Until then, farewell, my friend. God bless, and I know I'll see you soon. With that, I'm going to yield. Let's see, is Mr. Emmer here? No, Ms. Steele. I yield 2 minutes.
Thank you. This is a bittersweet moment. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to stand on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives, an institution shaped by years of Speaker Kevin McCarthy's faithful leadership, to thank and honor him for his service to the people of our state and to our country. And I'm also sad to be saying farewell. I have known Speaker McCarthy as a staffer, a state legislator, a congressman, whip, majority leader, and Speaker of the House. Like many of us, he supported me and built me up to where I am today. I am most proud to know him as a mentor and a friend. One of his greatest strengths is that he listens. He gets to know his members and plays to each of their individual strengths to create a winning team. His work for our home state and for our country has been invaluable. Mr. Speaker Kevin McCarthy, I am grateful beyond words to have been a member of your majority and to have fought with you to better the lives of Californians and all of our fellow Americans. You will always be my friend. Thank you for everything you have done for me and for the country.
I yield 3 minutes to Mr. McClintock.
Mr. Speaker, the ancient Greeks would have appreciated the irony of this story. Kevin McCarthy spent his life preparing for the job that he held for just 269 days. For decades, he devoted all of his energies and skills to build one of the most formidable political organizations of our time that ultimately took back the House last year. In those 269 days as Speaker, despite the most slender of majorities and with Democrats controlling the Senate and the White House, he cut $2 trillion of spending over the next decade. He forestalled the hiring of an army of IRS agents. He curtailed the woke policies plaguing our armed forces. He averted a government shutdown in a dangerous world. He reopened the Capitol to the American people. He launched historic investigations into government corruption. And he produced the strongest border security measure in a century and landmark legislation to restore American energy independence. On his 269th day as Speaker, he enjoyed the overwhelming support and confidence of his Republican colleagues. He was completing the process of adopting the most conservative appropriation bills in decades. He had put House Republicans in a commanding position to sweep the 2024 election, and national polls recorded that he had become the most popular elected official in America. Yet his speakership ended on that day, not because of the Republican conference, but because of 8 sad and pathetic mediocrities nursing petty personal grudges. And as Shakespeare said, this house is turned upside down since Robin Ostler died. But this is not the end of the tale. History commands and we must obey. And soon, I believe that Kevin McCarthy will be called back to the national stage to play a vital and leading role in a command performance by history to save our beloved country. I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. LaMalfa, recognized for 3 minutes.
thanking my colleague, Mr. Calvert, for leading this appropriate time here today. It's with a heavy heart that I come forward to be part of this, but it's also with optimism, because I've known Kevin for 21 years, and he was always and is always the optimistic one in the room. He always sees what we can do. He always sees the vision for each of us as elected representatives, but also, more importantly, the country. He always thinks of the country. He always thinks of how we're going to better the institution, whether it was in the California State Assembly, as we were cutting our teeth in politics there, and here on this national, indeed international stage. And I just, I'm somber right now because it really is a waste of what has happened. As my good friend and colleague, Mr. McClintock, mentioned, only 269 days of what could have been a really, really great thing. Now, Kevin will be part of everything we do in a different form, in a different venue, because he still loves and cares about this country. He still is a great friend to his colleagues, even though he exits this area for a time. I'm grateful to him for his friendship. Anything I've ever asked, he's always helped in his leadership role for me as a member in either one of the bodies, the State Assembly or here. Always with optimism, always with a smile, and a lot of funny stories to go with it I can't tell here. But the outreach to our families, making sure they're included, thinking of everybody. He's an amazing talent, and he will go far in leading his next enterprise, which is going to be based on our values and making our country stronger yet again. We will get there. I'm proud to call him a friend. I hope I can always have his friendship, his guidance, and his playing a major role as we go forward in saving and strengthening our great country. Kevin McCarthy, thank you for everything you've ever done for me as a friend and for all of us. I'm blessed to know you. To Judy, to Connor, to Maggie, the sacrifice has been big, but we also are very grateful. My family understands that as well. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank the gentleman. Mr. Obernolte, 3 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, it is an honor for me to be here to thank my friend and former Speaker Kevin McCarthy for his service to this country and to our conference. I had the experience of getting to know Kevin when I first decided to run for Congress. I got a call from my predecessor alerting to me that he would announce the next day that he was not running for re-election. And so I had to quite suddenly make the decision about whether or not I wanted to run for Congress. And I got a call from Kevin, and Kevin said, "Jay, I believe in you. You can do it. I will help you." And he did. Once I was elected and sworn in as a member of the House of Representatives, I was shocked to discover that I was one of over 100 members of this chamber that could say that of Kevin. Over 100 members that Kevin had given the confidence to step up and serve their country. And Kevin and I subsequently became good friends. What I discovered about his leadership style is that it's the leadership style I think that I honor the most, that of servant leader. Every decision that Kevin makes and made as leader was not for his own self-aggrandizement, not for his own betterment, but to serve the interests of the people that he led, the conference, his constituents, and the members of this chamber. And he also exhibited a quality that I think is unfortunately pretty rare in public servants, that of humility. Kevin is an amazingly humble man. If you met him on the street, you would never guess that he was third in line to the presidency. In fact, I'd like to share a story, and Kevin probably doesn't even remember that this happened, but earlier this year, I was giving a constituent and their family a tour of the Capitol. They were in here in D.C., they had a couple of children with them, and I was showing them the rotunda, and Kevin came bustling out of his office, surrounded by a whole group of people. You could tell he was on his way somewhere important. And yet he saw me and he stopped. And all of his people were saying, Kevin, we gotta go, we gotta go. And he stopped, he walked over, and he asked to be introduced to my constituents. And he insisted on taking a picture with them in the rotunda. And I'll tell you, that made not just their day, that made their entire trip. They still talk to me about it. And Kevin would do that for any member of this chamber. So it has been an incredible honor to serve under his leadership, and I have no doubt that the future is bright for my friend Kevin McCarthy, and that we can expect even more great things in the future. Kevin, thank you for your leadership, and I'm excited to learn about what the future holds for you. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next, Mr. Emmer, the Republican whip. Recognize what time he may consume.
Thank you, Ken. Mr. Speaker, no one has worked harder to help House Republicans win back the majority and deliver on our conservative common sense agenda than Kevin McCarthy. As the son of a firefighter, Kevin learned the values of grit, determination, and courage early in life. Throughout his years here in Washington, as a congressman, whip, majority leader, and our 55th Speaker of the House, it was those values that made him one of the most fierce fighters for Republican priorities ever. I had the privilege of serving on Kevin's leadership team this Congress. I've seen him work tirelessly to ensure House Republicans delivered on our promises to the American people. I've seen him listen to and work with members across every sector of our conference to bring forward viable solutions. And I've seen him do the right thing, no matter the cost, because he truly believes in the greatness of this country and this institution. I'll be brutally honest. I usually am. It was hard to watch as things played out the way they did. Kevin McCarthy did not deserve any of that treatment. But no matter what, he has always risen above the fold, handled every situation with grace, and put whatever is in the best interest of America first. Kevin, thank you for your leadership. It's been an honor to serve alongside you. Jackie and I are rooting for you always, and we wish you nothing but the best in whatever comes next. And I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next, Ms. Kim for 2 minutes. Young Kim for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Representative Calvert, for your leadership and for yielding. I rise to honor and thank Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who is selfless, amazing leader, and always optimistic, for his service in Congress that has left a lasting impact on his community, on our state, our party, and our country. Kevin has had my back since I first decided to run for Congress and encouraged me every single step of the way. He has worked tirelessly to make our party look more like America. And the gains we have made in the past 5 years are a testament to that. Kevin has been committed to ensuring people like me and each of us in our conference have what it takes to be effective members for our districts. He's the reason we have a House majority today. I always say the GOP is the grand opportunity party, and that's because of members like Kevin who are committed to promoting common sense policies to get our country back on track, make life more affordable, and keep our communities safe and protect the American dream. Thank you, Kevin. I wish you the best in the next chapter, and I know you're just getting started because I know you never give up. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlelady. Next, Chairman Patrick McHenry.
hosting this special order for a special friend. Kevin McCarthy's relentless perseverance, keen insights, and unmatched knowledge of the personalities of the House were amazing to witness firsthand. While the public saw the 15 rounds of votes in January, the historic spending cuts of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, privately, what I got to see was the legislative equivalent of an elite power athlete. Expertly working people, process, policy to get the best outcome in this chamber. Truly expertise that he had honed over his service in the California State Assembly and here in Congress to make this place work. And it takes a legislative craftsman to make an institution like this work. It takes history, it takes training, it takes focus, energy. It takes will, perseverance, grit. I got to see all those things in Kevin. Now, everybody else got to see the sunny optimism, the personalities that he loved embracing, his spirit of friendship for people that he just met. And that was wonderful to see. But to see him behind the scenes, being able to put all these disparate talents, gifts that he has to work for public policy, that was awesome. It was a special thing to work with you, Kevin. In the wildest moments that this chamber's seen in decades, he was a great leader for House Republicans, for this institution, for America. Yeah, he had coolness, calm, sense of charity for folks, even if they were not going to reciprocate. He truly lived, and as a public leader, he lived his values. And that's how he treated us, is the way that he expected others to treat everyone else. He was a great speaker. Success after success after success for this whole year. When Republicans in Washington are outnumbered by a Democrat Senate and a Democrat in the White House with a very narrow majority, we got big things done. It's tough. It's a tough thing. But that innate sense of optimism, that opportunity that he always found to find the bright side of any moment, even the darkest of days, for him to see that there was something there that would give you a sense of hope and optimism. It's those qualities have gotten him through an incredible career, an incredible life, a really incredible life. He was a political mastermind as well. It wasn't just policy in here that he understood how to architect. It was the architecture of campaigns and elections and all the stuff that go into modern campaigns that he was the expert in. No one better for Republicans, no one better in America at his capacity to put things together and to win elections. And the American people in this institution are worse off for not having Kevin McCarthy here. But I know he'll be just fine. He'll be just fine. And I look forward to seeing what you have in store for yourself, for your family, for this country, and your new way of contributing to make this place better, to make the country better. And I love working with Kevin on technology issues. His engagement there was the most spirited and the most interesting for both of us. For his innovation initiative from a couple Congresses ago, and his deep, keen interest in public policy as it relates to technology and the use of technology, that will have a lasting impact here as well. And I hope, Kevin, you'll continue to contribute in that arena. But for us, this institution is worse off for not having Kevin McCarthy here. Worse off. And it is with a bit of sadness that I have to say farewell to my dear friend here on the House floor. But not farewell forever, because he is a dear friend and will always be one of my dear friends. Kevin, we'll miss you. We love you. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next, Mr. Duarte for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Congressman Calvert, and I rise today to thank and admire and pay respect to my good friend, Speaker Kevin McCarthy. For many years, I supported candidates. Many of the men I admire here, many of the ladies, did fundraisers, came to my house. Kevin was one of them. And when this race came up where I decided to run for Congress, I looked to the example of Kevin McCarthy and said, America is about to turn socialist. If I don't step up and work alongside Kevin McCarthy to win this seat, to win this critical majority today, I may grow old in a socialist country for lack of my own efforts, for lack of seeing the inspiration and responding to the tireless work of Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a dear friend of mine, a dear friend of many. I know in the years to come, however far forward it is, when I talk about my time in Congress, the conversation will quickly go to an American hero, Kevin McCarthy, who tirelessly and successfully worked to stop socialism in America by winning this critical majority here in Congress. So Kevin, I thank you for our freedom, I thank you for your leadership, and I thank you for your friendship. Best to you in the future. I'll be here in Congress while you go to your thing, and I'm happy to see it. I yield back.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Valadeo, 3 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, this is not a speech I've ever wanted to give. I've had the honor of serving in office now for a number of years, and even in my time in the state legislature, my district has always bordered Kevin McCarthy's. He was in Congress, I was in the state, and then had the honor of being elected into this body and serve alongside of him for a number of years now. To say that he hasn't played a role in my ability to be here or even my success here, yeah, I wouldn't be here without him. Policies we've been championing for a number of years would never exist, would never come to fruition if it wasn't for Kevin McCarthy. We wouldn't have been able to change some of the things in the Valley that have been so positive for us if it wasn't for Kevin McCarthy. It's a sad day for us as an institution, it's a sad day for us in the Valley. When we have all these different issues that we're dealing with across the country, across this body, across even the Central Valley, my home, we've got so much we need to still do, and the reality that he's not going to be there is a huge hole for us in the Valley. If you look at his time in service, understanding the policies that affect us, if it's things like water, we wouldn't have the WIN Act if it wasn't for Kevin McCarthy. And the things that it's done, we're seeing some of the results of that as we speak today. Expansion or the repairs there in the Frank-Kern Canal, being able to move water south through the Delta so that our farmers and our communities can survive. Projects that are being funded as we speak to expand and add water infrastructure for the Valley would not be in existence if it wasn't for Kevin McCarthy. You look at Valley fever, a thing that we're dealing with, that we're fighting. We still don't have enough research. The Valley Fever Institute, the ability to actually have those policies in place, or at least the research started so that we can create some real solutions for a thing that we're dealing with across the country now. Energy. As we all know, Kern County is a huge hub for energy production. And to have a champion like we did, or we do today, not much longer, in Congress like Kevin McCarthy for energy production to make sure that we continue to provide energy for our country to succeed, we're losing that voice. Fire and forestry. I've served in Congress under different speakers. There's not a lot of times I've been in a situation where I'm on a Codell serving as one of with my colleagues with a bipartisan group, or at a press conference here in the Hill with a bipartisan group of members talking about the same issue with the Speaker of the House. I honestly can't think of one situation where I've seen that happen other than when it was Kevin McCarthy and it was Save Our Sequoias Act. And I remember standing there looking around thinking, I don't think I've ever seen any other person, and I still can't remember that moment. But that is something that affects folks. When you think about the air quality, the impacts it has in the Central Valley, the burning that has destroyed our mountain ranges, to have a piece of legislation championed by a speaker and being able to get bipartisan support, that was something that I was very proud to be a part of. Then the fun part, talking trash, playing basketball. When I outscored him on the basketball court in a charity game here, and I think I made one basket and he might have made 0, I'm not sure. Shooting, I know I kicked his butt. I still have a picture of the scorecard at some of our charity events that we do in the Valley. But there's a lot of opportunity for us to do good things and have some fun together. But some of the most memorable moments are going to be this past year, sitting in Elk and watching him across the table, his understanding of the policy itself, the dynamics of the votes, what's going to be able to pass the Senate, how to get the president engaged, all those different things where we're able to have some real successes this year, to actually have a plan in place to solve some real problems that now people that voted to take him out seem to acknowledge that plan was probably our best option and are on the verge of losing that. Is something I think we're going to miss out on. And to fill those shoes, to have that person that understands enough of this place, understands how to make a change and how to implement those changes and how to execute the plan is something that we're going to struggle to fill. I wish this day wasn't here. I wish he would stick around, but obviously I know he's off to bigger and better things, and I know we'll still have plenty of opportunities to talk trash, make fun of him, and maybe outscore him on the basketball court again. If he's not too out of shape, which is getting close to that point. But I just want to say thank you to Kevin, to his family. Judy has been a huge asset for my family. His children have been a huge inspiration for my kids as they go through some of the same headaches as all other children of people in this position have to deal with. So thank you to Kevin for everything you've done and will continue to do, and hopefully we'll still have the opportunity to work together in some situations. So thank you, and I yield back.
Mr. Hoyer for 3 minutes.
How much, son? 3 minutes?
3.
3. I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, we spend a lot of time in this House focusing on that which we disagree on. I think if we spent more time focusing on what we have been able to do together and agree on, we'd be a better House. So I rise not to talk about the disagreements that the Speaker and I had. We had many differences. We were of different parties. We had different perspectives. But I want to rise and thank Speaker McCarthy for that on which we could agree. Because when we could agree, he took that opportunity to act upon that agreement. It was good for the House. It was good for the country. It was good for me. So, Kevin, I want to thank you for what we agreed upon and what we were able to do together here and abroad to try to bring us together, try to lift us up, and try to make sure that when we could work together, we did work together. It's an example that we ought to follow because it was a positive example. And I thank Mr. Calvert for giving me the opportunity to come to this floor as a former majority leader, as a partisan Democrat, to say and recognize the work that Speaker McCarthy did to try to, when we could, move forward in agreement in a positive, constructive way. Good luck. Godspeed.
Mr. Kiley is recognized for 2 minutes.
As a freshman member, I haven't had as much time to work with Speaker Emeritus McCarthy as some of my colleagues have, but I am grateful for this year. Working with him as part of the California delegation and just observing his leadership of the conference and of the House has really been something to behold. And I think it's clear to everyone that he is a once-in-a-generation political talent. The millions of things that you have to do, large and small, to build a majority, to manage the conference, to run the House, to exercise leadership on the national and international stage. He made it look effortless and was always cheerful in the way he went about it. And I think that everyone in this House and across the country, whatever their politics, recognize that he was someone who is a leader in a way that transcends whatever position he holds even a position as high as Speaker of the House of Representatives. And so when I think about what he's meant to this institution, I think about the famous essay by Max Weber, Politics as a Vocation, where he talks about the need to both have principles, but also to have a sense of responsibility when you're in the political arena, that this isn't just a philosophy class. And I think Speaker McCarthy, Speaker Emeritus McCarthy, really embodies that sense of political leadership, of being firmly grounded in your principles, but also having an appreciation for the consequences of our actions and the unique responsibilities that we have when it comes to exercising political power. It was also, of course, a great benefit to have a Californian leading this House. I know that Kevin understands as well as anyone the challenges we face in California, and he and our delegation will continue to be a check there, and then I know that he will continue to be in the fight to turn around California and this country. So thank you for your service, which will be felt by this institution for a very long time. I yield back.
Thank you. Next, the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Hill, for 3 minutes.
Well, Mr. Speaker, for me, it's a sad day to come to this House floor when I think of all the battles on this House floor over the better part of a decade that I've been a part of and witnessed the leadership of Kevin McCarthy. I kind of have to flip Shakespeare on his head today. Mr. McCarthy loves the House of Commons, and he loves this House of Representatives, and so we are two nations, of course, separated by a common language. So it seems like it would be good to quote the Bard. So I come to this House floor to praise McCarthy, not bury him. Because Speaker Emeritus McCarthy has many years of leadership, decades of leadership ahead, not only at home, not only here in America, but around the world because of his leadership exhibited in this House. And as Shakespeare talked about, he too has suffered the slings and arrows that life brings in the public world, in politics, in this Capitol, in this House. But he's handled those every single day with grace, with humor, with leadership, exhibiting his commitment to being that happy warrior that we all know and love. That happy warrior that worked to advance every member of the House's objectives more than his own. Because that's how he's wired, Mr. Speaker. That's in his DNA in recruiting candidates, minorities, vets, women, making the Republican Party the party of the United States that reflects our entire society, that believes in those fundamental tenets of America. He nurtured that in each of those members once they're in this House on their legislative priorities, because he believes in his favorite book's mantra that we want to go from good to great. And he wanted every member to go from good to great. And Kevin McCarthy delivered on that in his leadership responsibility in this House. He put the right people in the right seat every time. So as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, and in this tribute to my dear friend from California, our Speaker Emeritus, I go back to Shakespeare, and like Mr. McHenry from North Carolina, it's not farewell, it's adieu. And let me tell you something, Mr. McCarthy, as they said in Henry V, when you tackle the next agenda, once more into the breach, dear friends, we're at your side, we're charging forward. God bless you. God bless your family, and God bless this House. Yield back.
Thank you. I now recognize the gentleman from Guam for 2 minutes.
Speaker Emeritus McCarthy, I just like to express my heartfelt gratitude for your dedication and service in Congress and for leading the Republican Party courageously. We saw this year how you prioritized doing the right thing and maintaining your integrity above all else, regardless of the consequences. your unwavering support for my district, the island of Guam, and your tireless efforts in fighting for the island's interest will never be forgotten. Your legacy will continue to inspire future leaders, and your impact will be felt for years to come in my district and in the halls of Congress, sir. And as you embark on this new endeavors, know that you will be greatly missed. God bless and guide you in all your future endeavors. Thank you, sir.
Now, I'm pleased to recognize the Speaker Emeritus for any remarks he may make.